You're gonna have to leave them behind.
Know your place, worm. Prepare yourself. Damn Saiyan.
The ending of Dragon Ball Super, what will be left behind? That's what we're here to discuss. And I have a special guest for you guys. This is Unreal End Gaming. And I want to start off by asking you, Resurrection of Frieza, the second coming. What's going to happen with Frieza by the end of the tournament?
Honestly, with Frieza, they've been keeping him in the shadows for so long. I just feel like they're not going to have Frieza in this tournament for him not to do anything. I personally feel like by the end, one of two things are bound to happen. Either A, he just gets either sent back to hell based on his timer expiring, because I really don't see any other reason for them to completely erase Frieza, or B, there could be a likely scenario to where Frieza comes back, but then you have to ask yourself as to, is Goku going to keep his promise if they actually end up winning, which, again, we don't really know as of this recording as to who's going to obtain the Dragon Balls or what the wish is going to be, but I'm assuming that if Goku ends up beating Jiren, or if Frieza ends up being the last one in the ring, the assumption can be made that the Super Dragon Balls are going to be used, but not by Frieza. So Goku in the anime did state that he was going to use the Earth's Dragon Balls to bring Frieza back. So the thing is, if that ends up happening, then we're just going to be going in another circle. It's like you can already establish the point that, you know, Frieza could be the potential next villain if he were to come back, because what other motive would Frieza have to be back in that current universe without him having to get his revenge? So I just feel like we have to wait until 130 for us to know definitively where his direction is going to be in 131. But for me personally, looking at it from a subjective point of view, I think that by the end of it, he might end up going back in hell. Something's going to happen where I believe that he is going to play a key role in Universe 7 winning, but by the end, it's like he's going to get cucked, I think. He's going to get sent right back to hell and remain in that cocoon for the time being. If Goku decides to bring him back, I don't know about you, but again, we're gonna be going back in a circle to where Frieza could potentially have his revenge again, trying to pursue Goku. But then again, knowing how strong Goku is now, would Frieza even make that attempt in attacking Goku and his friends, knowing that, you know, he's even surpassed the powers of a god? So with Frieza, I'm not entirely too sure. My estimate, my guess is the fact that I think that he's just gonna get sent back to hell and that's it. But if he ends up being resurrected by the Earth's Dragon Balls, I don't see everybody else being happy about that, because obviously, you know, one of the biggest threats in the universe is back. But, you know, knowing the fact that Goku now has a power that Frieza cannot possibly even rival with, if such a thing were to occur to where Frieza attacks again, I think Goku would put him down easily.
So when it comes to Frieza resurrected again, when you're thinking about it occurring, do you think about it occurring in a follow-up arc, in a new series that may happen, or do you think it occurring in the last episode, if it happens at all?
Well, I mean, that's if we get another series, which a lot of us are hoping for, but if we were, it would be very interesting to see Frieza play neutral instead of him just being, you know, the person that we've always known him to be, a tyrant, you know, a maniac. I just think that Frieza recognizes now that Goku is far surpassed him, so I don't think Frieza can do anything to even excel or reach that kind of a power. But I think in terms of what they may do with him, again, a lot of people have been saying that, you know, his role has been very minute in this tournament. He hasn't really done much, even though there were certain times where he did come in handy in the fight with Toppo, in the fight with Jiren a little bit. You know, he has done his thing, but I think that by the end, honestly speaking, even if Dragon Ball were to return in the form of a new series, something tells me that I don't think he's going to have any major role in becoming that next villain, because, you know, been there, done that with his story, and we have to move on, because you can essentially tell a much, you know, broader story using different characters in different universes and possibly dimensions and realms, other than having to go back to using Frieza. But I think that Frieza will always be there, but in terms of him being involved in an active role for an arc, I don't see that happening, in my opinion.
See, I'm in a similar camp because of the fact that Goku is pushing on, he's pushing forward with not only the promises he's made to the teammates on Universe 7, but mainly to the promise he's made now to Vegeta. You gotta remember that he's carrying Vegeta's promise to resurrect Universe 6. Vegeta stated it many times in the last 2 episodes that, you know, you have my promise, you have my pride, you need to go forward, you need to defeat Jiren. So I think that when it comes to friends, I think that Goku, if he were to get the Super Dragon Balls, he would wish Universe 6 back over wishing Frieza back. And if there is a series that comes out after Dragon Ball Super, say some other type of series in 2008, 19, 2020, then it would be interesting to see the beginning of that series have Goku resurrect Frieza and then be like, you know, go on your way. If he were to resurrect them, I mean, that means Goku just resurrected a tyrant, and that means Frieza would have free range, even though he's not going to fight Goku, unless Goku scares him into not being bad, but I don't see that happening. Frieza is going to go and conquer the universe once again, and I could definitely see like maybe like the New Z fighters, like maybe Bulla, maybe you know, Goten, having some qualms about that, being like, Goku, Grandpa, why are you, you know, why are you resurrecting this guy? He's just gonna go ahead and conquer the universe. And he's like, well, I made a promise. And then it maybe a little bit of friction there. But going into our next topic, Goku and Beerus's rematch. I mean, the series started off with Goku and Beerus facing off. When it comes to their rematch, will they have one by the end of Super, in your opinion? And if not, will they have one in a possible series that comes afterward, or will they ever have one at all?
It would be impossible. I think it would be impossible for them to have a rematch in 131, because 131 is going to be the closing. If anything, if you want to do a rematch, which I think should happen, that ought to be in the form of like the reintroduction of a new series, and that would only make sense because it's the prophecy that Beerus had in his dream. And I feel like personally it would tie everything together, because up until this very point, you know, neither Goku or Vegeta could have reached Beerus in power, and now that Goku has transcended that and broke through his own shell, now you can say, okay, well, Beerus would, you know, essentially have the rival he's been looking for now that Goku has broke through his shell. I think that by the end of it, they may allude to that. They may allude to a rematch, but are we going to see it? No, because obviously right now we're prepping for the movie. We're actually prepping for other things. But I think that, would that be essential to the story? Of course it would, because that would go back to Battle of Gods, when Beerus had the dream of foreshadowing and foreseeing this Super Saiyan God that he's been desperately looking for. So that person could be Goku, and I think it is Goku, and I think that it may allude at the end to where Beerus can say something along the lines of, okay, well, you know, now that you've broken through your shell, perhaps maybe we can have that rematch, you know, that you've been so longing for this whole time, training, and, you know, because it's been a while since Goku has been training with Whis and doing his own thing, progressing through the story of Super, ever since Battle of God. So I think that it would be essential to have them fight. Is it going to happen in Super? No. Is it possibly going to happen in the form of a new series? I would personally like that, because then we get to see the scaling in terms of Beerus, what he can really do, seeing Ultra Instinct return, seeing, you know, Mastered Ultra Instinct return in the form of fighting Beerus. So I think that would be really, really awesome to see. But by the end of it, in terms of like 131, I don't see that happening in terms of like the end. But I do think they're gonna mention it in a sense to where it's like, okay, well, are you ready now? Yeah, until we meet again, maybe then we can have our rematch.
So I gotta ask, who do you think could win? Goku versus Beerus?
Oh, I think Goku at this point. I mean, because remember, Goku has something that not even Beerus has been training to do for so long, has been able to learn. And I feel like with the instinctive to dodge and move without thinking, as we said in ROF, that is a technique and a power that not even Beerus himself has been training for so long had learned. So if Goku was able to learn something that can put him ahead of Beerus at this point, then Goku. Unless Beerus decides to take some off-screen training or do something to where he can come back one day, potentially, and have that fight with Goku, then only then could we say, okay, well, Beerus has been upscaled, let's see what he can really do. But as of this recording right now, I would say based on Goku and the way he's been fighting Jiren, and he's going to fight Jiren, I think that this would put Goku above Beerus. Unless, of course, Beerus decides to take himself serious and begin to train. But until then, I would say Goku.
Yeah, I'm in the same spectrum, because Goku he's got this power now that, similarly to what Whis stated, it's on a higher level than Beerus, because Beerus has been training for this power all along. And in the last episode 129, Whis was stating that, oh, Goku is going deeper and deeper into the power of the gods. And so when it comes to Goku versus Beerus, I put all my money on Goku. Also, with the mere fact that Vegeta himself, even though it was a lesser god of destruction, or maybe a god of destruction in training, he was able to blast through a Hakai with one single punch with the perfected Super Saiyan Blue, or I think they're calling it Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Evolution. And so he blasted right through that. And when it comes to Goku, he's miles ahead of Vegeta, in my opinion. So yes, he can 100% go right through Beerus at this point. And I can actually see, like, say a couple years from now, a year or two from now, we still haven't gotten a new series, I can see a trailer dropping or a teaser dropping where you see Goku facing off against Beerus, just them looking at each other, and then Beerus says, "Are you ready now?" And then Goku looks at him and then goes into that white glow. I can see that happening, bro. I can see that wholeheartedly.
That would be awesome. That would be really
God,
awesome,
that would send goosebumps. You would have people freaking out all over YouTube. It would just be so amazing. So when it comes to it, yeah, I don't think that we're gonna get to it in episode 131. There's no time. Absolutely, there's no time. We'd have in episode 131, if we were to cover all the things that we're missing so far, all the things that are left dangling, it would be like the ending of The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, where we have so many different things happening in like the span of 15 minutes or whatever. So there's no way that's gonna happen, in my opinion. But going into the next topic here, we have Planet Sadal. What do you think? Do you think that we're going to get any mentions of Planet Sadal by the end of the series? Do you think that we're going to get a hint that that's going to be where we're going next?
Absolutely. I think this is going to tie into the film. It only makes sense because the film is supposed to cover the origin of the Saiyan powers, and I personally think that by the end of it, Universe 6 will be revived by whoever makes the wish, whether it's Goku handing it to Vegeta, Goku making it, whatever. By the end of it, Universe 6 will return. That's indefinite. Because why would you have so much buildup on that, on that definitive statement where Kaba keeps implying Planet Sadal and Vegeta keeps implying that he wants to go there? Why would you have that be built up for nothing? So I feel like they will be brought back, and I think by the end of the final episode, what may happen is they might end up showing Vegeta taking interest in wanting to leave Universe 7 to go visit Universe 6, and I think that that's what may tie into the movie, because with the movie having to explain the origin of the Saiyan powers, they did state that, based on translations from Herms, that they were going to include the most amount of Saiyans that we've ever seen in a film before. So obviously you can't have a Saiyan film without our current heroes and some of the other Universe 6 fighters as well that we've met before, Kaba, Caulifla, and Kale. So I just think that by the end of it, we are going to see the resurrection of Universe 6, and I think that we are going to go into this definitive role to where Vegeta's going to take off and probably end up going. But you can't just end off the series and have Universe 6 stay erased. I feel like that's horrible writing, in my opinion, based on all the foreshadowing and the red herrings we've been getting during Universe 6 and Universe the Tournament of Power. So I just think that by the end of it, they're going to go, and it's going to lead into the movie. In terms of a series, listen, all of us wanted to see an arc come from this. As cool as that would be, it's obviously not going to happen. So I think what better way to tell that story and wrap it up than to have that, come into fruition in the form of a movie.
That's an interesting idea. I had never thought of having the Universe 6 be wrapped up in the Origin of Saiyans. That's just what I'm calling it, the Origin of Saiyans movie. Yeah. I figured the movie would focus mainly on Yamashi and the Universe 7 Saiyans and telling his story, because it was kind of weird that Akira Toriyama just out of random was like, oh yeah, that's Yamashi. He's the original Super Saiyan. And then these are SLs. That's the reason that they can go as Super... I thought that whole thing was kind of weird. And then, like, not even a couple weeks later, we get, Origin of Saiyans movie coming in 2018 December. So that I thought that was kind of weird. Let me dive a little bit more into this, because I want to kind of pick your brain a little bit. What would be your ideal Origin of Saiyans movie?
Well, I mean, they need to explain, like you just said, they mentioned Yamoshi. They need to explain who this guy was, what happened to him, and essentially, you know, how he got that power. We understand that he got the power from 5 other righteous Saiyans, but, you know, what was it that, you know, he fought against? Because he fought against other evil beings, perhaps Saiyans. So it's like, what happened during that time, and where exactly did he end up fighting them at? Was it Universe 7? And plus, since we have Universe 6 Saiyans, you know, that also correlate to Universe 7 Saiyans, it's like, whatever happened to those Saiyans in Universe 6? How did they come to be? Did they also have their very own first legendary Super Saiyan? Like, whatever happened to that, dive more into that lore as to who they are, what they're about. And I think that the S cells kind of explain that, because with Toriyama's explanation for the S cells, that kind of gives a little bit of justification towards how Kaba, Kale, and Caulifla were able to transcend and transform so easily. So maybe, you know, in this upcoming film, we are going to not only witness, you know, the casual Saiyans that we've seen before, but we can have the introduction of various other Saiyans also achieved a similar concept, to where everyone starts transforming into Super Saiyans to fight an opposing opposition. Like, for example, you know, maybe a god tier enemy or whatever. So I just feel like by them going into the lore of the Saiyans, first of all, you have to explain Yamoshi's story, because, again, if he was supposed to be, as quoted by Toriyama, the first ever Super Saiyan God, that's fine. But we've never really learned as to what happened to him after. Was he defeated? Is he still roaming out there? There have been many fan theories about how Yamoshi possessed Goku and all this other stuff, which, again, there's no evidence to justify that. However, you're telling me it wouldn't be interesting to see one Super Saiyan God meet another, as Goku meeting Yamoshi and just questioning him, and maybe even getting a little bit of a sparring match, you know, just for said reasons. But I just think that, you know, for them to tie everything together, you know, Universe 6 and Universe 7 are parallels. So, by them explaining the S cells, perhaps maybe Vegeta goes to Universe 6, you know, teaches, you know, the ways of what it means to be a Saiyan to the Universe 6 warriors, and having pride, and helping them achieve something to where maybe Vegeta doesn't want them to suffer the same fate as the Universe 7 Saiyans did, in the idea that, you know, there could be an enemy that could show up and easily just eradicate them without them having the need to fight back. So I think that would be a really cool story, in Vegeta taking pride in teaching these people how to defend themselves, just in case there is somebody that shows up like Frieza that could ultimately destroy their planet, and there's nobody left out there to, you know, fight back as a means for them to get eradicated.
So when it comes to 2 Super Saiyan gods facing off each other, say Super Saiyan God Yamoshi and Super Saiyan God Goku, I would love to see that. The only problem with that fight is that Goku, at this current point, would know how to go into, exactly, he would know how to go into Mastered Ultra, and so it'd be cool to see Vegeta do it, because Vegeta, we haven't seen his Super Saiyan God version yet, and I mean, it's up in the air whether he can do it or not. I'm in the camp that he could, because how else would he go into Super Saiyan Blue? But that would be really cool to see. As far as my ideal movie, yours is extremely interesting, and that would be really good when it comes to trying to get people to go into the theaters and stuff like that, because you would have Goku, you know, Vegeta, you know, you'd have the people that most everybody knows who they are.
It's good marketing too. Yeah,
exactly. It's perfect. For me, I was when they first stated it, I was like, okay, so Yamoshi's gonna be the main character, some guy we don't really know, and then so we're gonna hear his story, and he's gonna be facing off against those you know, older Saiyans, the Saiyans from Universe 7, the ones that are more primal, or the ones that are more you know, less advanced as the ones in Universe 6. That's kind of what I was thinking. Even though I would like to see that, I still kind of want to see Goku and the gang go into it. But when it comes to Goku getting interjected in any of those stories, it's a little bit difficult now, because he's so high tier that unless he loses Mastered Ultra Instinct at the end of this, which I feel like would totally be, it would be a mistake, because of how long and how much it's been hyped up that, oh, he just lost it, he was able to use it against Jiren, that was it. You know, unless he loses it, he would be able to basically trounce anybody who's in any of those movies, and that's my biggest problem when it comes to having a potential next series and having Goku still be around. That pushes me into our last topic, the last episode. I feel like Goku needs to leave. And I'm not saying that because I don't like Goku. I love Goku. Goku is one of my favorite characters in every pop culture medium, in any medium really. He's one of my favorite characters up there.
Right.
And so I'm saying because of the fact that now the writers have given him, unless he loses his power without any explanation, they've given him this power that essentially makes him invulnerable to anybody who's trying to attack him. So basically, he is the Xeno button when it comes to most stories. So I personally, for me, I would like to see him removed from the equation. I feel like everything's been leading up, especially in the last episode where all the gods are standing up and acknowledging essentially something either higher or on their same level. You know, I feel like his story has reached its zenith, it's reached its climax, and now he should, personally for me, I think he should be gone. And if they do it the same way, and I put this out there, if they do it the same way as they did it in GT, where he loses Shenron, in a similar way where he leaves in some fashion, I put a video out stating the angels, and you know, I went into it where, you know, the angels, you know, Grand Priest could be like, oh, you have this power, let me go ahead and train you with it. Goku's always up for training, so he's gone, and then there you go. Now the Z fighters are minus Goku, and now they can kind of face threats that are they can either handle or have a little bit of hard time with. And then now we really have just Vegeta, who is going to come in, dive in, and be the deciding factor in those fights, but he can still be overtaken. And so that's my input on the last episode. I do think that Goku it should be Goku's last, and it should really focus on the ending of Super. It should close out with the either Universe 6 getting revived or all the universes being revived. But if they do revive all the universes, it needs to be from the Super Dragon Balls, and that's the only way they can do it. Because if Xeno is like, okay, let me just revive all the universes, then why do we have the tournament in the first place? That's my take on it. But if Universe 6 is solely revived, that would be awesome as well. And then have the Z fighters go back to Earth, and then that's the ending. And then I feel like that kind of ties into that the title that's been leaked for that last episode, where it's I think it's goodbye Goku until we see you again, or something along those lines. I think that ties in pretty nicely. Like, Goku, it's been nice. Thank you for 4 amazing sagas that you've been the main character through, and now it's time, now it's your time to go and train with the angels and the gods. I guess that's my input into it, but I want to hear what your ideal last episode is. If you want to rebut to anything that I said, that's fine too. And what do you think should come after?
I think to close things off, first of all, they can't remove Goku because Dragon Ball has always been the story of Son Goku, ever since the inception of Dragon Ball. So although people would love to see, we want to see the main character be removed, you can't do that because he's always been the main focus of every single story, because it's always been Goku's story since meeting Bulma, Grandpa Gohan with Yamcha, going into Z, hell, even GT, Super. It's always been about Goku because it's been Goku's story. Of course, you can always incorporate other characters to have them replace Goku per se. If Goku were to, just like in Dragon Ball Z, be in the afterlife in the other world, and you can have other characters like Gohan, Trunks, Goten, etc. replace that, you can ultimately do such a thing. But right now, it's like Goku's story, I think, is finished for now, until he is needed again. And I feel like my ideal episode for episode 131 would be for if Goku doesn't end up wishing everybody else back, then at least have Universe 6 come back for that matter, because again, you need development from that universe as well, because that's been the only universe that you had major development from. But if they don't end up bringing everybody else back, which I think they should, because even though the moral purpose of the tournament would have been, okay, well, what would have been the point of having this fight to begin with? If you bring everybody else back, you can ultimately have the point be established to where, okay, we need to get our shit together now that we understand that our mortal levels are low, and we need to do a better job as gods of destruction for these universes in trying to maintain that level of mortality and being able to have a high mortal level and being able to do our job rather than just us goofing off and doing whatever. Because a lot of gods miss that opportunity in having their mortal ranking be high, and that's why they were chosen to be a part of this tournament, because they weren't being exceptional in their universes as being leaders and or people that led by example. So I think that, at the end, I would love to see some sort of a foreshadowing between Goku and Beerus. But it's very weird. I mean, I think that they're going to go into the ending of Z. We might end up meeting Oob, And from there, I think they're going to end it off. But, like, I think the bigger question is, like, if they're going to leave it off on a cliffhanger. But I think that my ideal ending would be for everyone to be back on Earth. Vegeta may possibly take an interest in going to Universe 6 to visit Planet Sadala. And with Goku, I think that his final moments ought to be with Beerus. Maybe Beerus, bids his farewell. Maybe Beerus wants to go back to sleep and he tells Goku, when I see you again, we're going to have that rematch. And maybe Goku says something along the lines of, I'm looking forward to it, whatever. Beerus ends up leaving with Whis. We have Vegeta taking off and trying to visit Planet Sadala. Goku's on Earth with Chi-Chi and everybody else. Maybe he encounters Oob. And I think that's the way to close it off. Just very, very subtle, very nice, and then whatever happens after happens.
Let us know in the comment section below what you guys think on all these points and what your ideal last episode would be. And follow and subscribe to Unreal End Gaming. He's got great content daily. Go ahead and look in the description below. This is going to be Dragon Ball Black signing off, guys. Take care.